Zira. Today's top story is inflation in Canada. Many Canadians have noticed that prices for everyday items like food, gas and rent are increasing. This is called inflation and it affects people of all ages. To understand how inflation is impacting daily life, we go live to our reporters. First, we'll hear from Nisa.
Thank you, Zira. Canada's population surpassed 40 million in 2025, reaching approximately 41.6 million people. Despite being the second largest country in the world by land area, Canada remains sparsely populated, with most people living in urban centers and southern regions near the US border. More than 80% of Canadians live in cities, and immigration continues to drive population growth. However, Canada is also facing an aging population, which may affect future labor supply and economic productivity. Canada had around 20.7 million employed people in 2024. In November 2025 alone, 54,000 jobs were added, mainly in healthcare and social services. However, some sectors such as wholesale and retail trade experienced job losses. Canada's GDP reached record levels after the pandemic, but growth has slowed recently due to the higher interest rates and rising living costs.
Thank you, Nisa. Canada's economy relies heavily on international trade. For more details, we go to Arnaud, who will explain why inflation is happening and how it affects Canadian overall.
Thank you, Zira. Canada has open trade-dependent economy. Major imports include machinery, vehicle, electronic, refined petroleum, and pharmaceutical products. They support both consumer need and industrial production. On the export side, Canada is strongly supported by energy resources, especially crude oil, along with vehicle, mineral, natural gas, and forestry products. The service sector dominates employment, while manufacturing and natural resources continue to play key role in economic development. Inflation remains one of Canada's most pressing challenges, although the inflation rate eased to around 2.2% in late 2025. Prices for essentials such as food, housing, and energy remain high, reducing purchasing power for many Canadians. To understand how inflation affects daily life, we now turn to the voice of Canada. So now I'm with one of the Canadian citizens. So, hi Miss, can you introduce yourself and how inflation affected your lifestyle?
Hi, my name is Alisha. In my opinion, it is very challenging because I have to cut back on spending, especially on food and transportation. Saving money or even thinking about owning a home feels almost impossible right now. That's all for me.
So, what kind of support would you like to see from the government?
I think affordable housing and better wage growth would really help. Young people need more support to cope with rising living costs.
Thank you, Alisha.
Hello everyone, my name is Sophia and today we will going to interview a Canadian citizen on monetary policy. Hi Miss, can you introduce yourself and share your thoughts on how Canada's monetary policy has been used to control inflation?
Hi, my name is Akila and today I will talk about the Bank of Canada is responsible for monetary policy, which is main goal being price stability, targeting 2% inflation. Its a key tool is the policy interest rate, which affect borrowing, spending and investment. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the bank lowered interest rate and used quantitative easing to support the economy. However, this led to rising inflation, which peaked around 2022. In response, the bank shifted to a contractionary monetary policy by raising interest rate and using quantitative tightening. By 2024 and 2025, inflation declined closer to the 2% target, allowing rates to be gradually reduced again.
Besides monetary policy, the government also uses fiscal policy. As we know, fiscal policy is how the government uses the spending and taxes to influence the economy. What is your opinion on how fiscal policy was used to stabilizing the economy during and after COVID-19?
During COVID-19, Canada increased spending to support households and businesses, which led to large budget deficit and higher government debt. Even after the pandemic, government spending remained high, though the deficit slowly decreased. Overall, fiscal policy played an important role in supporting the economy during and after the crisis.
Thank you, Zakila, for sharing your thoughts with us.
Welcome.
Back with me. To control inflation, the Bank of Canada used monetary policy, aiming to keep inflation close to its 2% targets. Interest rates are adjusted carefully to avoid triggering inflation again while still supporting economic growth. However, policymakers face a difficult balance. Lower interest rates may boost spending but risk higher inflation, while higher rates could slow the economy and increase unemployment.
Thank you, Sophia. Inflation in Canada continues to affect daily life, from grocery shopping to transportation and housing. While inflation is a normal part of the economy, rising prices can be difficult for many people. Understanding inflation helps Canadians make smarter choices and plan for the future. That's all for today's report. Thank you for watching CBC Student News. I'm Zira. Have a great day.
That you'll ever do. Two can be as bad as one. It's the loneliest number since the